Andrew Ditch, a name that most people probably don't know, and honestly, they're better off. Because once you dive into the bottomless pit of chaos that is Andrew's daily life, you'll find yourself questioning humanity, reality, and why this man hasn't been locked in a padded room with only a stress ball and warm applesauce for company. See, Andrew Ditch is attracted to this lady, not in the usual romantic sense, but in the she does everything for me sense. He likes her because she accommodates him 24/7. Well, she used to accommodate him until she got fired for leaking messages with trolls, but we'll unpack that emotional train wreck later, because her termination wasn't just about a few leaked screenshots, it was also about her allowing her own son to hang out with Andrew Ditch. And if there's one thing in this world that should never happen, it's Andrew Ditch being left alone in a room with someone else's kid. But that's exactly what happened. Imagine working at the healthcare center that houses Andrew. You're minding your business, doing your job, praying your shift ends without an incident report, and then you find out that Andrew's caretaker is bringing her son to hang out with him. The administrators basically said, yeah, no, we're done with this storyline. They recognized Andrew Ditch as a danger to literally everyone around him. This wasn't even the first time his tendencies had raised red flags, so naturally they removed her from the situation completely. And how did Andrew react? With the same emotional stability he's shown throughout his life, a meltdown bigger than a toddler's first trip to Walmart.
Is aware of my disability and concern for my safety. They cannot make any arrests based on this video or any others because I lack the capacity to consent. Today, they told me that my dad wants Nicole to make decisions on my behalf. He wasn't there and doesn't know what to do. The officer explained this after I called my dad. He said my dad doesn't want to be bothered and recommended I contact Adult Protective Services to request a different guardian. The officer also gave me a judge's number. The judge is willing to help me on Monday. Because of this situation, my Medicaid insurance and caseworkers are trying to move me from this home to another facility. They're conducting a mental health assessment to refer me to the ID services that can better meet my needs. I'm not yet in the ID waiver program due to the long wait list. My previous coordinator flagged an emergency and gave me the highest puns, prioritization of urgency of need for services, score to put me at the top of the list. They updated my status to emergency because I'm at risk of a Section 302 involuntary commitment to a mental health hospital.
And it is not going to happen to you. Okay, you realize you're an RN and I can sue you. I'm suing you for malpractice. I'm calling a lawyer to sue you for malpractice Monday morning. Okay, you're a nurse and you cannot do this to me. I don't want you to treat me like this anymore, and I want people to stop abusing me and respect my disability.
I don't have the capacity to handle you right now.
Why, you're drunk again?
Here to harass us.
No! I am not harassing
you.
I'm calling to ask you if you can call in Sybil. Since there's nobody else here, she's willing to come in, she's available, and that's what I'm asking for. I'm not talking to you about anything else. And you're giving me a fucking hard time like you always do. And I don't want to be abused by you anymore. That's why I'm leaving on Friday after this. Because of you and your abuse, and I can't tolerate it.
When people don't tell you what you want to hear, you sit up.
You don't like what I have to hear.
You just can't handle it. That's not abuse. Telling you these conversations.
You know what? Maybe I should have to go to another neighbor and tell him how you're abusing me and neglecting me again.
You're talking over me again, which we're not allowed to do to you, but you're allowed to do to us.
No, I'm asking you, but I have a speech parrot, I have a speech disability, and you don't want to listen to me. You don't like hearing what I'm asking for, and now I'm dysregulated because you're giving me a hard time. You're
Andrew,
trying
you're
to put me in a
articulating just
box
fine.
saying I don't need your help and shit.
You're articulating just fine. I understand everything you say.
Then why are you doing this to me? Oh.
No problem communicating.
Hang on, I gotta go to get a neighbor to help me with this again. Oh no.
You have no problem communicating.
I don't have any problems, yeah.
If you have an emergency, you can call 911.
I need help with my medicines, and I need help with my shower. I need
No
help.
pill packs. You know how to open them and take them.
I need a... That's not the problem, ma'am. And you know, I'm going to get a neighbor. No, I'm stay on the phone, Andy. Get a neighbor because you're saying I don't need help. And then I'm running away and knowing that's not safe. Because you say I don't need help.
Harass your neighbors.
You're giving me a hard time like I do every single fucking time with me.
No, you're just not being told what you want to hear. So
No, you don't want to hear what I'm... No, Jamie, you don't like what I'm hearing. That's why you don't want to deal with me. That's why you give me a hard time, so you pass me on to someone else. And you know what? I'm sick of how you treat me. Because I don't want to be upset when I ask for help.
Andrew,
And you're not even following my speech therapist or occupational therapist orders.
about that right now.
You don't even want to give me the help I need. You just wanna make it. You wanna control what you think you want.
But if you're just doing this for another one of your little videos that you like,
No, I'm not. You're doing it to bully me, and I don't want you to bully me.
why, Andrew? Because I'm just being factual with you.
No, you're not.
You don't want to hear. That's not bullying. That's called
Hang on, we need to call my doctor. Hang on, stay on the phone. You're making Hang on, we need to call my doctor. Hang on. No, I'm gonna put you on three-way with my doctor. You can tell my doctor that I fake and don't need help. And that he's wrong. Hang on. I gotta find my... Oh, why did you fucking hang up, Jamie? Why did you fucking hang up? Danny, why did you hang up? Why did you hang up, Jamie?
Which leads us to the real
Why
question.
did you hang up, Jamie?
Why was Andrew so bent out of shape about this lady being fired? What was it about her that sent him spiraling into a week-long tantrum that made the workers at his care center consider quitting their jobs to become full-time beach bums in Cancun? Well, buckle up because it's as disturbing as you'd imagine. While finishing his breakfast, which probably consisted of cereal, tears, and manipulative schemes, the home phone rang. Tony, one of his caregivers, answered. Andrew sat there seething with rage, probably because Tony dared to exist within the same oxygen radius. Andrew claimed Tony is the only one who cleans and does laundry and that nobody else helps, which surprisingly isn't entirely wrong. Tony usually wakes him, changes him, and gets him started with his day, but that's not enough for King Andrew. After breakfast, Andrew asked Tony for his clothes. Tony, who was already running on 3 hours of sleep, 2 cups of coffee, and 0 will to live, finally gave him his clothes and helped him start his shower. Meanwhile, Tony washed exactly 1 shirt, 1 pair of pants, and 1 pair of socks, the only dirty items Andrew had managed to produce since his last meltdown. Then Tony decided to take all the clean towels off the bathroom door to wash them too, just to look busy. Because in Andrew's world, if you're not visibly suffering while working for him, are you really working? But Andrew wasn't done with his accusations. He claimed Tony left expensive frozen food out all day, only to put it back in the freezer later. Andrew screamed, "Liar! Liar! Diaper on fire!" Because yes, that's the mature vocabulary of a grown man who wants to be treated like an adult. Ironically, it was actually Andrew who left the frozen food out, but let's not allow facts to get in the way of a good tantrum. According to Andrew, Tony uses every cleaning supply known to mankind: bleach, floor cleaner, Lysol, Pine Sol, dish soap to mop the floor. The only thing Tony hasn't used is holy water to cleanse Andrew's negative energy. If Tony really did the laundry, Andrew asked, why were there still clothes in the bathroom and no towels in the dryer? Probably because Tony, like everyone else in Andrew's life, was too busy trying not to scream into the void.
Kitchen and did the dishes that Tony, Hussein, and the night shift lady left behind. Meanwhile, Tony spends most of his time outside. I believe he avoids me because he doesn't want to work or assist me and my roommates. He's not scared of me. He's scared of being held accountable. When I ask Tony for help washing my back, he says, do it yourself, then adds, you don't even try, but I know you can, as if that's a compliment. I end up giving up to avoid an argument or being labeled as having a behavior problem. It upsets me when Tony doesn't check if I'm wet and I end up leaking on my pants, chair, or bed. He refuses to help, and I can't manage it alone. I want to, but I need support. His refusal frustrates and overwhelms me. I remember how Hussein used to say I didn't need help. I'm not manipulating her to help me or force her to do her job on sunny days. I'm not forcing her. She chose the job she is working for. Like Medicare tells me and Dad all the time, why do these people want to work in hospitals and doctors and clinics for if they refuse to help people like me?
And I want you to record this too.
Oh my God, Andy, you're getting out of there. Why bother?
Well, cause Dad, was something that was said today by Jamie. So I called Jamie today. Called the office, I meant. I called the office. I asked her, when is a caregiver coming to help me? Okay. And she said, Hussein was there for you this morning. And she said, well, yes, he was. He was there from 8 o'clock this morning to 3 p.m. I said, well, he's not here. He left early, she said. I said, I don't know. And then didn't help me in my shower, gave me a hard time of putting on my diaper, gave me a hard time of helping me with my medication. He said, I don't need any of that help.
Tony claimed Andrew refuses help and complains too much. Andrew, being the eternal victim, disagreed. He asked for another caregiver, Sybil, to come in early, but when Jamie, another staff member, gave him a hard time, Andrew started recording their conversation like he was exposing government secrets. At one point, he ran away to calm down, but unlike his usual disappearances, he didn't cross any busy streets this time, so the officer he encountered didn't slap a 302 psychiatric hold on him. The officer even told him to keep recording because, let's be honest, the only entertainment these local cops get is from Andrew's public meltdowns. Tony also removed the smoke alarm in the kitchen because Andrew reacted so strongly to it. The chirping from a low battery in the basement alarm upset everyone, so Tony removed that one too. Royal, the management company, apparently won't buy a new 9V battery, leaving the alarms useless, which, considering Andrew's history of chaos, seems like a fantastic safety hazard in the making. But Andrew wasn't done trashing Tony. He ranted about how Tony refuses to help him wash his back, put on his diapers, or check if he's wet, which leads to Andrew leaking on his pants, chair, or bed. Tony told him to do it himself, and honestly, can you blame Tony? This man probably wakes up every day questioning all his life choices, especially the one that led him to wiping Andrew's backside for minimum wage. Andrew lamented about how no one wants to help him with his bathroom habits, which, let's be real, isn't surprising. No one wants to do that for a 40-year-old man who screams diaper on fire at them and sabotages their jobs daily. If Andrew Ditch ever cloned himself, the only person who'd willingly help him would be, well, Andrew Ditch. Unfortunately, the world isn't cursed enough to handle two Andrews. Andrew's arguments with the house staff were reaching new heights. He started plotting sabotage like a cartoon villain. He laid out meats, left frozen food to spoil, and then took photos claiming Tony was neglecting him. He said, "Look, this guy hasn't done anything for me. He's ruining this place." In reality, Tony's just trying to finish his shift without crying in the staff bathroom for the 5th time that day. Andrew's ultimate plan: get Tony fired. Because if Andrew's unhappy, everyone must be unhappy. His life philosophy is basically, if I can't have my diaper changed the way I want, you can't have job security. And then came his daily meltdown phone call to his dad. If you ever want to hear the sound of a man who has lost all hope, listen to Andrew's dad answer the phone. You can hear the regret in every syllable. Andrew told his dad about Hammy claiming she wasn't sending caregivers when he asked. He complained about how Tony left early, didn't help him shower, put on his diaper, or do his makeup. Yes, makeup, because apparently Andrew is ready for his TikTok debut immediately after his sponge baths. His dad, sounding like he'd rather wrestle a bear than continue this conversation, just said, "We'll talk to him." Because what else do you say to a grown man child threatening to call 911 over makeup assistance? But the real kicker came when Andrew brought up Nicole, the caretaker who was fired. Nicole had been letting her son hang out with Andrew in his room. And when the administrators found out, she was fired on the spot. Because if there's one thing a healthcare facility doesn't want, it's a grown man with Andrew's history alone with minors. Andrew's meltdown over Nicole's firing reached Shakespearean levels of drama. He ranted about how she was the only one who helped him, took him out to the community, cleaned, shopped, and kept him sane. He claimed she was fired unfairly for violating HIPAA. But Nicole didn't just violate HIPAA, she also violated basic human logic by allowing her son to hang out unsupervised with Andrew.
2. Mild intellectual developmental disability, ADHD, Tourette's syndrome, expressive and receptive language disorder, moderate to severe, severe auditory processing disability, learning disabilities, anxiety and depression, type 2 diabetes, urinary and bowel incontinence stemming from sensory unawareness, obesity, self-injurious behavior, sensory processing disabilities, global developmental disability, hypothyroidism, irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, back pain with a herniated disc, autoimmune issues, high blood pressure, and other related conditions. What isn't being posted online is my very first phone call with Royal. That call was for one reason. One, to ask when I would have a caregiver to help me. Jamie answered the phone. I asked, "When will someone be here to help me?" She said, "Hugh Zane is your caregiver." I replied, "He told me he isn't my caregiver. He's assigned to my roommate, Michael Wardell." Jamie said, "Then we need to talk with him about that." I explained that he didn't wake me up today to keep me on my routine. I woke up to a wet bed and was left in a wet diaper. He didn't give me my medication until after I woke up, around 11 or 12 o'clock, and he gave me a hard time when I asked for help with my pills. I then asked him to help me shower. I only need assistance washing my buttocks and back. He refused. I used my AAC device to tell him I needed help and why. I called for his help in a shower, but he ignored me. That's more proof Royal is lying and neglecting me. I told Jamie that since Nicole left, the house is dirty, bug-infested, and nobody's cleaned the kitchen, bathroom, or my room. She insisted they have to clean, but she pulled the only worker who took us into the community, cleaned the house, organized my appointments, tested my sugar, and sorted my pills. She's not an RN, but Jamie said that was part of why she was fired, for spreading HIPAA. I told Jamie that was false. I gave that worker permission to discuss my care with anyone. Jamie claimed she saw posts revealing my information. I said those came from a random bully on Reddit, not my former caregiver. Why is Michael allowed to smoke illegal drugs and cigarettes in his bedroom when it's against the rules? Jamie said she knew nothing about any of this. I replied that if she thinks I'm a danger to children, she should know that Nicole has my laptop, my PIN, access to my email, OneDrive, browser history.
Thank you for calling Royal. How can I help you?
Hey, Jamie, Andy Con. So, question for you.
What?
So, since you're saying that Nicole was fired for bringing her kid here, why does Jordan bring her to her 3 kids here all the time? And one of them is a baby.
I don't know anything about it, and if that's the case, then we'll have to talk with her.
And here's one more thing. Why is Laura and that new caregiver, I gotta use my talker, why are they here when Mickey lives here? They're family, and if family's not allowed to be here with other family, then here's the problem, I'm going to say. Why are they working here? Conflict of interest. They could play favoritism.
No, it's not.
Oh, yeah, it is. What's fair... Hang on. So, Royal doesn't own these houses. So why... And you guys are not allowed to deny a visitor or friendship, right?
It's got nothing to do with who owns the houses. There are employees, so it's employee policy.
So...
It's got nothing to do with who owns the house.
So employees can't take clients to their houses either, right?
They shouldn't.
But that's a rule in your policy, but yet you guys allowed Nicole to take me to her house and get paid on Easter. Yeah, you did. Because that was the agreement that I would spend Easter with her and her family.
We can't tell you that you can't go somewhere. You know, you're a free person.
Okay.
If she invited you over there, then that's okay.
So I can invite James, who is Don's father, here for my birthday. I can invite Don here as a visitor.
You can invite whoever you want as a visitor. I'm saying employees cannot bring their kids to work.
But I invited Don, and I invited James here. So I invited them.
Alright. But it shouldn't be when she's working.
So wait a minute. It's okay for James to come here when to visit me and help me with things, for things that Nicole couldn't do, like for example setting up my air conditioner and my desk and putting out the curtains in my room. You're saying that James? No, it's not a kid. It's Nicole's boyfriend.
Alright, well, if you are inviting him over to help you with things, then that's fine. I'm talking about her bringing her kid to work.
So I can't invite.
That shouldn't happen.
I can't invite a kid here.
It shouldn't. No.
Why can't I invite a kid here? If their parents give permission. What?
Because you're an adult. Because you're an adult.
I'm an adult.
Yeah.
Oh, so is
A
there...
12-year-old man shouldn't be hanging around with an 11-year-old little boy.
What's the problem with that?
Because you've got behavioral issues.
Yeah?
It's not an appropriate situation.
Yeah, I have a disability. But I'm not a danger to anyone, like you trying to make me look like.
So do you need anything right now? Because this is the on-call emergency line.
Yeah, one more question. One more question I have for you. So, you're saying that I can't be... So you're saying that I shouldn't be around children, but then why would Nicole allow me in her own house, knowing my behavior issues and dealing with my meltdowns? And why would she have her children there, especially on Easter and stuff, when she was...
Andrew tried to argue with staff about his right to have friends, but let's be honest, if you're 40 years old and your only friend is your caretaker's son, maybe it's time to reevaluate your life choices. When staff told him it was inappropriate, Andrew said, "Well, is there a crime here? Call the cops." Like a toddler screaming, "Call my mom!" after being told he can't have ice cream for dinner. Staff tried to explain that the problem wasn't about having friends, it was about boundaries, confidentiality, and the fact that he's a literal danger to everyone. But Andrew wasn't having it. He argued that he was allowed to have whoever he wanted in his room because in his mind, rules don't apply to him. Then he called his dad again, ranting about how the house was dirty, there were bugs everywhere, no cleaning supplies, and no one was doing anything. His dad's sigh could probably power a small city with sheer disappointment energy. Andrew then called the police because why not waste public resources on your personal tantrums? He told them staff said he was a danger to minors and asked why they didn't arrest him if that was true. The operator, probably drinking their 5th coffee of the day, just calmly said, "Sir, we're not arresting you for this." But Andrew didn't stop there. He ran away again, calling 911 to say he was lost. When asked where he was, he said, "I don't know. It's too bright out here." Finally, after a long dramatic phone call, he admitted, "I can see my house right there." Imagine being a 911 operator thinking you're saving a lost disabled man only to find out he's standing in his front yard like Patrick Starr wondering where his rock went. Andrew's strategy is simple. If tantrum number 1 doesn't work, escalate to tantrum number 2. If tantrum number 2 doesn't work, call the police and waste everyone's time until anyone gives in. And that's his life, a never-ending cycle of manipulation, sabotage, diapers, and drama. He's like a Disney villain, except instead of trying to steal the kingdom, he's trying to get his caretaker fired because they didn't wash his back with the correct loofah. Andrew Ditch is the ultimate cautionary tale of what happens when you let narcissism run unchecked for decades. The healthcare workers dealing with him deserve medals, raises, and lifelong therapy for enduring his daily chaos. Because dealing with him isn't just a job, it's psychological warfare. In the end, Andrew didn't get Nicole rehired. He didn't get Tony fired. He didn't even get his makeup done that day. What he did get was another mark on his file, another meltdown under his belt, and another day spent ensuring everyone around him was just as miserable as he is. So if you ever feel like your life is spiraling, just remember, at least you're not Andrew Ditch, and at least you're not the poor soul's paid minimum wage to wipe his tears and other places every single day. If you enjoyed this breakdown of Andrew Ditch's latest meltdown, leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below your thoughts on this never-ending saga. Do you think he'll ever find peace, or will he keep running away from reality forever?